You can become a millionaire through real estate. There's a simple 8-part equation I personally followed to make $80,000 in equity every year for the last 5 years from just one property. And I'm going to show it to you. But there's a few things I want you to know up front. Number 1, saving money, being patient, and building your credit. Those are all your best friends in real estate. You need all 3. You'll see why in a minute. Number 2, making millions in real estate is not a get-rich-quick scheme. The math is essentially foolproof. Anyone can understand it, but it's still hard work. You have to remember that. Number 3, just as easy as you can make a lot of money, you can also easily make mistakes and lose money, things you must avoid. This is real estate investing for beginners. I'm going to break down how to make millions in real estate, the problems that people make that make them lose money, as well as the method I personally use to make over $400,000 in equity from one single property, starting with the money-making matrix. You've probably heard about the 4 key ways of making money in real estate. They all flow into one another, creating this big matrix formula. The 4 keys look like this. You make money as your property appreciates in value. You make money as you pay down the loan on your property. You make money as your rental property provides you additional cash flow. And finally, you make money from the tax benefits that come with the property, allowing you to keep even more of the money that you make. Each one feeds into the others. The more you pay down the loan on your property and the more your property appreciates in value, the more equity you have, which is the difference between the 2 figures. Let's say you have a property that's worth $500K and a loan paid down to just $100K. You have $400,000 in equity in that property, money that you, not the bank, will get when you sell. Not only that, but the more your property profits in cash flow, the more money you'll have to improve the property, helping it appreciate, or pay down your loan faster, helping to increase your equity even more. On top of that, tax benefits mean you get to keep even more of the money you make, giving you more money to feed this cycle even further. So it's a simple, bulletproof investment, right? Not exactly. I'm going to show you my 8-step process in a second, from the most important step that you can use literally today all the way to the exact properties you need to buy. At first though, the real estate business seems obvious. Just find a cash flowing property, watch it fill your pockets with money, repeat until you're a millionaire. Pop bottles, buy a super yacht, go hang with Jeff and the gang. Except that's a fantasy. In real life, it's not quite that simple. Sure, the 4 key ways do all work together and you should use them. But in real life, you're going to face 2 major problems. Most good, experienced real estate agents will tell you this. You have to be skilled to find that diamond in the rough, the property with massive cash flow potential. You have to be lucky to get in on the wave of appreciation. Yes, you can do market research and determine your best chances of appreciation, but you can't bank on it. That's not a good business strategy. And you'll see pretty quickly that if your property doesn't cash flow and it doesn't appreciate, then this whole millionaire plan completely crumbles and falls apart, leaving you with a dud investment and a mortgage to pay off.
Not a great plan.
In order to avoid these problems, you need a system that helps you find cash flow positive properties and helps you avoid the mistakes that are inherent to being human. Getting overly excited about buying stuff. We all do it. You'll do it. And because I'm a YouTuber, I've got an equation to do just that. Quick but relevant story. When I was younger, I dropped out of college to try my hand in the world of business. But at the start, I made one choice that continues to benefit me to this day, every single day. I went to the library and read as many finance books as I could possibly get my hands on. It wasn't glamorous or fun, it didn't make me any immediate money, but it worked. It taught me concepts and strategies, like I said, that help me to this day, whether it's reading cash flow statements or income statements or just understanding the general rules of the finance game. This knowledge gave me a whole lot of initial confidence that helped me get out there and make good decisions later. For you looking to get into the real estate game, it's no different. You need to read great books on real estate. This is one of the key steps for avoiding the problems that I outlined earlier. One good book can literally change your life. There are other super important steps I'm going to take you through, such as understanding the market, but for now, if you want to make money in real estate, you have to take this pursuit seriously and do some learning beforehand, which you're already doing, watching this YouTube video. But I can only go so deep into the nitty-gritty details on a YouTube video, so you'll still want to pick up a good old-fashioned printed paper book, or a Kindle if you're into that weird. Here's some books I'd recommend. Links will be in the description. And then once you're done reading, you're going to need to if you want to get into properties, you're going to need to make a down payment, which takes a whole lot of cash. For most properties, you need 15 to 20% of the property value up front. I'd aim to have at least 20%. This means if you're looking to buy a $500K property, you need a $100K down payment. That's a lot, but it's also the reality, so what are you gonna do? However, the more you put down on the property, the bigger your safety net, and you wanna emphasize safety. I have a major safety tip later that you gotta follow. So to do this, you're gonna need to prioritize saving money, and on top of this, you'll likely get a mortgage from a bank, so you must have a solid credit score. The higher it is, the more likely you'll get a good mortgage with good rates. Aim to build that to at least 740. And here's something most first-time real estate investors aren't aware of. Your credit score, like the one that you see when you log into your bank account, that's not the same score that mortgage lenders use. I'm actually in the process of buying a new home right now and ran into a major issue because of this. It's a long story, but Citibank made a mistake on a credit card account of mine and tanked my score by like 100 points, from like 810 to 710. Let's just say I won't be using Citi credit cards again, but that aside, I thought the credit issue was cleared up as my score was slowly climbing back. It's now showing like mid 700s. However, that's my regular score. So when my credit was pulled by the mortgage lender, the error was still there, dramatically, terrifyingly hurting my mortgage lender score. So I did a bunch of digging to figure out how I can actually see the mortgage lender score to try to fix this thing, and the easiest way is through my FICO. Unfortunately, it's a paid service. It's like $30, but it saved me thousands of dollars because I was able to fix the issue before the loan was finalized. Let me show you what I mean. Here you can see my regular scores. Then I go to mortgages and I'm screwed. They're way lower, meaning my mortgage payment will be much, much higher. The only saving grace is I was able to fix this and my score should bump up within like a month or so. If you're curious about your true score, I'll have my FICO linked down below. But the moral of the story here is watch your credit closely. Don't take on unnecessary debt, and watch out for Citibank. Then, everyone has their dream home, meaning when they get into real estate, they can't wait to dive in, see properties, and lose their mind when they see that perfect white picket fence and two-car garage. But this is the worst way to go about real estate investing. There's a big reason why, and I'll get to that in a second, but first, your immediate issue is that you have no idea what you can actually afford. Your expectations of what house is perfect for your real estate portfolio might be way off, leaving you wasting your time.
Give me rent.
You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door!
Instead, get as much information about your employment, income, and assets for at least the last 2 years, and then go speak to a lender. Show them all your info and make sure your books are as accurate as possible. Otherwise, they'll be giving you lending estimates that aren't representative of what you can actually afford, which is a giant waste of time. I'm stressing this because one of the most important parts of real estate money making will be the mortgage that you get. If you struggle to get a mortgage, you're dead in the water. Lenders will typically estimate the PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, before giving you a solid offer. So you want to do as much as possible to help them make this accurate. Oh, and by the way, I know all these steps can get a little bit overwhelming, so I made a free checklist for this video that'll be linked in the description, which brings us to the next insanely important section. Nope, you're not buying just yet. Now you need to see which properties are out there so you can get a sense of what the market is like for your particular budget. You need to see enough properties so that you know what's overpriced, what's underpriced, and what's a fair price within your market and within your budget. Ultimately, you're looking for a good deal. And you're building the confidence to be able to spot a deal and recognize when you see it, that's a spanking deal.
Thank you very much.
So there's another reason for this as well, and it's why I told you not to jump into looking at properties. The reason is, for every property you like, there's dozens of people that like that same property because chances are it's a hot property. So you need options in order to secure a property. Otherwise, odds are someone's gonna beat you to it. This just happens. Seeing lots of properties doesn't just mean, visiting houses and comparing one with another. That'll help you get some understanding of whether you're getting a fair price for your budget or not, but you have to think about cash flow. Cash flow is rental income, your profit after expenses. So you want to determine what kind of cash flows are coming in for properties, again, within your budget. Start with the assumption that most properties are complete duds, and then look for reasons why they may be profitable, instead of just assuming all properties are profitable. Check out rental sites to see what kind of rents on similar properties in your area are making. That's super important. And then estimate what you'll be spending on your mortgage, taxes, and insurance. Now, these rates can vary a little bit depending on who you are, your credit, your cash up front, and the property location. But a good starting point is this website, Smart Asset. It'll give you a very rough estimate of the potential expenses. You'll want to double verify all those numbers though. If like what you see looks good, double verify it. Please always do that. And beyond that, include a budget for repairs and maintenance. Things will go wrong and they'll eat into your cash flow. A simple guide for repair expenses is the 1% rule. Maintenance will cost about 1% of the total property value every year. So if it's a $500,000 property, a good starting estimate is $5,000 in annual maintenance expense. Make sure to fit that into your cash flow calculations. This is the super boring part, the number crunchy part of the process. But if you're going to do the next steps, one of which is that amazing tax trick, then you're gonna have to do a good job here. All your profits come down to these calculations at the end of the day. You're gonna wanna, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, you're gonna thank yourself for doing all that math up front. Now, once you have the total expenses figured out, compare it to the rental incomes to see if your income is higher than your expenses. If it's not, then you're looking at a dud investment, which will give you a terrible cash-on-cash return, and it's just gonna be a struggle. Just avoid a struggle when you can. Now, cash-on-cash return, this is the return on the actual amount of money you invested into the property. Naturally, you want this to be as high as possible and to be, positive, not negative. Here's my example. I bought a property when I was 21. I thought the market was high at the time, which isn't a great start, but the area was perfect, and I did it in such a way where I had essentially zero risk. So I was really confident in this property. I did a little bit of house hacking, which meant I was living in the house while also renting out the other rooms at the same time. After a few years, I was actually profiting by living in my own house and building massive equity every single year of ownership. Like I said, $80,000 for every single year I've owned this house. I now moved across the country to Puerto Rico, but I still rent out the rooms. And I keep one open for myself for when I'm back in town. Simply renting a few rooms in this house brings $2,700 monthly. Mortgage and insurance costs about $1,700. Other expenses are like $200 a month. So it's cash flow positive. And I still have a place to stay when I'm back in town for business. And, the house has appreciated 13% annually, earning me over $80,000 in equity every single year for the last 5 years. That's the power of real estate. Now, I'll eventually sell it and roll those funds into commercial real estate, specifically a storage facility, which I've been learning a ton about, read books. But back to you, right now I really need you to remember this rule. If you want to make money in real estate, don't ever buy a property that doesn't bring in more than it costs. Super simple. I guess these equations are simple, but actually making them and following through with them, that's the tricky part. And you're only ever going to be able to cash flow on properties if you put in the hours to search for them up front. Do the work up front. You don't want to try to figure this out later. Now, the one exception here is value add opportunities. If you find a property that needs a little bit of work and you fully understand how much is needed to complete that work, this can be an excellent cash flow strategy. That's where you can make a ton of money, but again, you just have to have the skills in place and you have to have the time to figure out the problems that will inherently pop up. Now, all of this brings us to a pretty important step. By now, you've followed a strategy that will help you mitigate the risks of making money from real estate and take advantage of the money-making matrix that I outlined at the start of this video. So you should have identified a few properties that are relatively good deals for your budget and have positive cash flow potential. If you have, now it's time to start making offers. This is the fun part. This is where it becomes a bit like playing poker. Once you've put your chips in, don't get emotional, don't overpay, just see what happens. You won't get every property that you make an offer on. That's just part of the game. People are going to outbid you, offers will get rejected, it just happens. Regardless though, you got to keep your head clear, be a professional, and make sure you're paying a fair price. Don't panic, don't pay too much, and don't obsess over a specific property. It can get really easy to obsess. If you've done all that work, and then it's like, oh, I could just pay like 40 grand more and then they'd be mine. No, don't be emotional. Research, 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 smart offer, do it again, be patient. That's the key. Bonus tip, buy your property under an LLC. That will protect you. People can sue you for all kinds of reasons, especially if they get hurt on your property, which will happen if you get enough properties, someone will eventually get hurt. For under $100 in most states, you can set up an LLC. This will save you thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars if an issue ever arises. I set up an LLC for every single business and service I start. I've been using this company called Northwest Registered Agent to do it. You can set up an LLC in literally a few minutes. I'll have a discount link for them in the description. I just can't stress the importance enough of that legal protection. Super important. Now, let's say you've bought a great property. Let's move on to the next crucial step. This part, super simple. Get the property in good condition, get professional pictures taken, important, and get it listed. Once people respond to your ad, show them the property ASAP. Rentals happen fast. Your house is your product, so make sure your product is flying off the shelves. Don't overcomplicate it. Just make sure those pictures are incredible and make sure you respond quickly. You will get a renter if you do those things. With that, you should be making positive cash flow and improving your equity. Now, all you gotta do is save money, drop another deposit down, get another property for your portfolio, and build your income piece by piece. Bonus tip alert, if you're selling your primary residence, you can dodge capital gains on any gain when you sell up to $250,000 in profit. This is a huge tax benefit you must be aware of, especially if you gain a lot of equity in a single property. And this can be repeated every 2 years. Plus, if you're lucky enough to be married, this goes up to $500,000. It's IRS's 121 exemption. I encourage you to check that out. It becomes a huge deal if you're looking to renovate and flip houses that you actually live in. Some people quite literally use this to buy and flip their primary residence for a huge tax-free cash inflow every 2 years. Making millions in real estate will take a lot of work. But the equation is extremely simple. Do your research, put in the effort to understand the market, find good properties, and don't lose control of yourself when you make an offer. If you play the game sensibly, you will make money. Do it long enough, you will make millions.